In today's video, I'll give you 4 questions you'd want to ask your interviewer, either towards the end of your interview, either some of them would work at any point in time. This should work also for phone screening rounds as well as for on-sites or virtual on-sites nowadays. Let's first talk about the questions, and then I'll add a couple of more notes here. The first one would be, based on what we discussed, I believe my experience fits well, but how do I stack up against other candidates? So needless to say, we want to ask this question because you want to really see what your interviewer thinks about your performance. And this is one way to check this out. Another way, the second question would be, do you have any concerns about my ability to do the job? Right, so is there anything you think I could have done better here? Again, a question to allow you to gain more intelligence about how do they see you in the process. And this one you could ask either towards the end of the interview, either in the beginning of the interview, if you feel like they have enough information about you, or immediately after talking about yourself, right? If you feel that that is the right time. Number 3, what do I need to do to get the job? So yes, this is a very straightforward question. You would probably want to ask this the hiring manager during a virtual on-site or during the on-site interview, but it is a very pertinent and a very relevant question. And finally, last but far from least, what makes a great candidate for this role? And I repeated this question a number of times on my channel. So this would allow you, hopefully, to at least hope they will spill the beans on what makes the ideal candidate for the role, which they know for sure, but you don't. And they are not supposed to give you that information, or at least not before interviewing with them. Now, these would be the 4 questions, and I got these, actually the first 3 questions, I got them from reading Tony Beshara's book, Powerful Phrases for Successful Interviews. I also linked the name in the video description. And it's basically straightforward advice, but the challenge here, I tell you from the beginning, is that I can guarantee you that 80 to 90% of you will never have the guts to ask these questions in a job interview. Some of you will not have the guts to ask this because you will forget about asking them in the first place. Some of you will not find the right moment to ask these types of questions, so some of them will simply not feel comfortable to do this. So from experience, this is something you really want to take seriously, and especially if you have 6 rounds of on-site interviews. If you find in the first round what they're actually looking for, it's basically you have a very unfair advantage when compared to any other candidate going into that job interview. I know, so it's not only me saying that these things work, but it's also the book that I reference, and I could probably if you Google, you will also find other people recommending these things, which, while uncomfortable to do, I mean, think about it. What's more uncomfortable, for you to not get the job, or for you to ask a couple of questions, tough questions, during the interview? Now, of course, I'm not saying to ask all these 4 questions in the beginning of the interview. They wouldn't make sense in the first place. But you should, in my opinion, go above and beyond to try to get these questions clarified throughout a job interview, because as much as a job interview is run by the employer primarily, you are also supposed and entitled to have to gain more information, more insight into how the process evolves. Of course, to the extent they would feel comfortable sharing this with you. And again, from my experience, I know that successful candidates for very senior roles have all said that then it made a huge difference that I knew how to read the room, I knew how to ask them questions, and I made them essentially to spill the beans at times as to, hey, where am I in the process? Where do I need to improve? What can I do more to convince you that I'm the right candidate for the job? And it's as straightforward as this. You should also be asking questions to them, not that only that generic last part of the interview, hey, do you have any questions for me? Of course, that's standard practice, that's the protocol, but go beyond those limits and try to bring this information and try to gain a competitive advantage in the interview. So there you go. This would be the 4 questions that you would want to consider. I hope you found this information useful. I hope you'll take it seriously, and good luck.